Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning! Excited ako ngayon kasi feminine skills yung babasahin natin. So, nandito na tayo sa chapter 6. The feminine skills for talking so a man will listen. When women address men as they have always talked to other women, men either don't get it or just stop listening. It is as if women were speaking a different language that men tend to misunderstand. A woman can greatly assist a man in learning her language by making a few small but significant changes in her communication style. By learning to pause and prepare a man before sharing her feelings, a woman immediately begins getting the kind of support she most needs. By making clear up front how she wants him to support her, she can relax and share her feelings without having to worry about upsetting him or losing his attention. This formula, this formula for talking so that a man will listen can be as simple as saying the following phrase. You don't have to say anything or do anything. I just need to talk about my feelings in order to feel better. Through first posing and then preparing him in this way, he doesn't feel an obligation to offer suggestions or think up solutions to make her feel better. Instead of focusing on attempting to solve her problems while she is talking, he can relax and really listen. By doing less, he can actually give her the emotion
May load sa PM.
na 09
4956
0956
11
11
80
80
981.
981. Bale,
600.
ano sa man siya? Load wallet?
Oo.
Ah, zero nine five six
11
1180 981. Bali 600. 0956 1180 981. 610. Wala. Thank you. Instead of focusing on attempting to solve her problems while she is talking, he can relax and really listen. By doing less, he can actually give her the emotional support she is really looking for. Talking in a logical and focused manner is primarily how men communicate and business is done. For 8 hours each day to varying degrees, a woman, a working woman is required to express herself in this way. If she limits herself to talking, a man may listen more. but it pulls her away from her femininity. When a woman gets home, her first priority is finding the balance to be feminine again. However, if she abruptly begins talking female and tries to share her feelings without clear guidelines, it will inevitably ruin her intimate relationships. Eventually, she will either give up on men or close down the feminine part of her that needs to talk. Both such courses are disastrous to her happiness and fulfillment. To relax and connect back to her warm, loving, feminine feelings after being combative, competitive, efficient, and goal oriented during the day, a woman needs the freedom, permission, and support in her relationships to communicate her feelings in a non goal oriented, non logical, non accurate, and non rational way. To recuperate from her day, she needs to freely expand through expressing her feelings. If she is always editing them to make sure they are correct, accurate, and presented in a logical manner, she stays in her male side. Without understanding what a woman requires to nurture her female side, men become overly frustrated with a woman's need to talk in a feminine way. A man does not instinctively know this because his male side is nurtured when he talks in a focused, direct, clear, logical, and goal oriented manner after a lot of silent thought, consideration, and deliberation. He doesn't realize that to demand this focused approach from his partner is counterproductive and will inevitably prevent her from being feminine. A new dilemma. The contemporary woman is faced with a new dilemma. Either she trains herself to talk like a man and loses a part of herself as well as an essential source of happiness, or she disregards a man's resistance and lets it loose. In response to her free expression of feelings, he stops listening and she eventually loses his love and support. Since neither approach works, it's fortunate that there is another way. Traditionally, women didn't depend on men for nurturing conversations, nor were they required to talk like men throughout the day. If a woman had to be more liner when she occasionally talked with a man, it was okay because she had the whole day to talk in an expanded female style. Women today have a much greater need to talk in female way with their male partners because they are deprived of it at work. The need to communicate with men is a new challenge for both women and men. By applying new feminine skills, a woman can greatly assist a man in listening to her feelings. Once a man is prepared, a woman can relax and let go. This is the secret. By her saying a few words, a man can be conditioned to effectively deal with her different styles of communicating. Even if her words would normally sound critical and blaming to a man in male language, even if he is not yet good at ducking and dodging, if he is prepared correctly, he can even handle a direct hit. The great Houdini. My favorite example of a man's need to be prepared comes from the life of the great Houdini. The magician Harry Houdini offered the challenge that he could get out of anything. He was an escape artist. He became famous for getting out of chain boxes, straitjackets, bank safes, and jails. The second challenge he made is less well known. He made the challenge that anyone, no matter how big they were, could punch him in the stomach and he wouldn't be hurt by it. He could take any punch. One Halloween night during the intermission of his magic show, a young college student came backstage and asked, "Is it true that you can take any punch?" Houdini said, "Yes." Before Houdini had a chance to prepare himself, the student gave him a quick jab. It was that quick punch that killed the great Houdini. He was rushed to the hospital but died in the next day. Like Houdini, a man can handle a woman's verbal punches if he is prepared and can, in a sense, tighten his stomach muscle so that he doesn't get hurt. If he is not prepared, then he is overly vulnerable and can easily be hurt. There are a variety of ways in which a woman can prepare a man so that he can hear what she is saying without getting bruised. In this chapter, I will suggest some that may be appropriate for you and some that may not be. As time passes, other ways of preparing may feel more appropriate as you and your mate grow into them. Hmm. Try on different outfits. Treat these suggestions as if they were different outfits that you might like to wear. Try them, see if they fit, and if you like them, then check them out with your partner to see if your likes them as well. Take your pick. I suggest the following example as a springboard for developing other expressions as well. Once you get the hang of it, it will become a natural way of supporting the person you love most in your life. Eventually, you will find yourself integrating these advanced relationship skills into all your relationships. Giving a man his job description. When a woman talks, a man commonly does not know what it requires of him. Listening is difficult for him because he misunderstands what is expected or what she is really saying in her language. If he is not skilled in ducking and dodging, the more he cares, the more he feels hit by what sounds like criticism and male talk. It is much easier for a man to duck and dodge in the business arena because he does not interact with such an open caring of others. In his romantic relationships, he is much more open and vulnerable, so when he gets hit, he is much more hurt. A woman's new task is to casually let him know what she needs before she begins to talk, by clearly giving him a job description in a language that he can understand. He can relax and not exert himself in trying to figure out what she wants. This is a new twist for a woman, but once learned, it frees her to express her power as a woman in a new way, using old skills in a new way. Although it has a new twist, preparing is really an ancient feminine skill at which women are very adept. Their instinctive nature demands that they prepare. While cavemen focus on the day's hand, cave women prepared for the future. There is an intuitive knowing in women that acknowledges that everything grows naturally in small steps when the right conditions are created and patiently nurtured. Her instinctive motto is, "An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure." Until now, a woman's traditional daily responsibilities reflected this tendency to prepare. Each day, she would think ahead to plan and prepare meals for her family, to create a nurturing setting for herself and the family. She would prepare home to make it as beautiful and uplifting as possible. To grow a garden, she would first prepare the ground before planting the seeds. As mothers, women have always taken the time to prepare their children for the world, step by step. In guiding a child to play independently, a mother will first set up the appropriate toys or set the conditions. To prepare the child to read, she will read to the child. Through preparing a nurturing setting, she knows that the child will automatically grow and flourish. Traditionally, women put much more attention in how they dress and appear. When a woman gets dressed, she instinctively takes more time to prepare so that her personal expression is appropriate to the event or setting. Preparing her face with the right makeup, preparing her skin because it is more sensitive, and wearing ornaments on her body to attract the appropriate attention are all expressions of this tendency to prepare. Even biologically, women require more preparation. To birth a baby, she prepares for 9 months. To fully enjoy sex, her body requires much more time, stimulations, and preparation, particularly before the convenient availability of sanitary napkins. A woman had to prepare in advance for her menstrual cycle. Traditionally, a woman prepared herself for marriage by remaining a virgin. Before having sex and thus having a baby, she prepared herself by making sure that her partner was committed to her and could provide for her. Even life insurance is an ancient female ritual of preparation. In ancient days, in ancient days, She prepared herself for the possibility of her husband's death by maintaining a positive image in the community. Women are always preparing. It is their nature, and they are good at it. One of their great hidden frustration is that they do not know how to prepare a man to listen. Without a clear understanding of how men speak, male and not female, a woman cannot intuit the necessity of preparing to have a conversation. She naively assumes that if he loves her, he will instinctively understand her language. Even so, women do prepare a man to listen, but generally in instinctively ways that would work with other women but not with men. She mistakenly assumes that if she asked him lots of questions about his day, he will be prepared to listen to her. This kind of preparing doesn't work. Preparing a man to listen is a new skill for women. Just as men can extend their ancient warrior skills to duck and dodge, a woman can transform an ancient feminine art into a new relationship skills by learning to prepare a man to listen. Times have changed so that even a well-meaning, intelligent man doesn't know what a woman really needs. While she talks, he will consistently offer a string of comments, corrections, and solutions. In response, she will say, "You don't understand." Misunderstanding is one of the most common complaints women have about men. It is so worrying that when a man hears it, he immediately gets defensive. Because in male, she is saying that he is stupid and thus incapable of helping her. This phrase, "you don't understand," is so automatic to a woman that she has no idea that she is preventing a man from giving her the support she needs. Mm. Not only does this phrase sound like criticism, but it doesn't make any sense to him. But it doesn't make any sense to him. He feels that what he is doing demonstrates that he does understand what she is saying. And to maintain his pride, he is willing to fight to prove it. Although he started out to help, he ends up wanting to argue. Hi, Sel. Good morning. Smart. 09. Ah, ah. 0905-680-7224. 60. 0905-680-7224. Basi na kay Tres din ha, Sel. Oo. Porque 5. Thank you, Sel. Sel, usay pagkuan pagka nang tawag kay ano or pag-communicate kay papa mo or kay mama. I-chat ako mama te. Unsay hang kuan sa Facebook? Noni Lorico. N-O. N-O-N-I-E. Oo. Lorico. Lorico. L-O. L-U. L-U-R-I-C-O. Oo, te. Sige, ke. Mangutana ko regarding sa ano sa susyo. Thank you. How to get a man to listen. How to get a man to listen. When a woman says you don't understand, she really means you don't understand that right now. I don't need a solution. He, however, hears that she doesn't appreciate his solution and then gets hooked into arguing about the validity of his approach and explaining himself at a time when she only needs to talk. If a woman wants to get a man to understand what she really needs, she should avoid ever saying you don't understand, even when she means it, because the praise is so accusatory that it is hard for a man to hear it. However, here's an alternative. First, pause and consider that he is doing his best to understand, and then say, let me try saying that in a different way. When a man hears this praise, it also conveys the message that the man has not fully understood her, but in a non critical way. He is much more willing to listen and reconsider what she is saying. He does not feel criticized or blamed, and as a result, is more eager to support her. Without understanding what makes men tick, it would be nearly impossible for a woman to figure out that a man would greatly prefer to her. Let me try saying this in a different way. To you don't understand. To a man, however, the difference is so obvious that he would never think to suggest it. The wisdom of pausing and preparing. When a man is offering solution and a woman wants just to be heard, advanced relationship skills are available that do not offend him, through which she can assist him in giving her the support she wants. By learning how to pause and then prepare him to listen, she can continue without getting interrupted by his solutions. The sooner a woman makes it clear that she doesn't need a solution, the easier it will be for her mate to shift gears from the fixing mood to the hearing mood. For example, if a man has been listening and offering solution for 20 minutes and the woman then pauses to let him know that she doesn't need his solution. He will feel foolish, unappreciated, and defensive. Sometimes, when my wife Bonnie is talking about her problems, I begin offering little solutions. Even though I teach new relationship skills, I sometimes forget to duck and dodge. Instead of expressing an immediate reaction like you don't understand or you're not listening, she pauses and prepares me to support her. Instead of focusing on what I am doing wrong, she just reminds me of what I am supposed to be doing. This strategy is definitely a new relationship skills. She says in a very casual matter of fact way, or you don't have to solve this. I just need to talk about it. I'm already starting to feel better. I think I just need to be heard. She does this in the same tone of voice as one might use with a dinner guest who, after dinner, starts washing the dishes. In that situation, a gracious host would automatically say, "Oh, you don't have to bother cleaning up. I'll get it. I'll get to it later. It's no big deal. Let's just go in the living room." When she gently reminds me in this way of my new job requirements, I am very happy to make the shift to support her more. When a woman uses this kind of casual tone when she reminds a man, she nearby minimizes his mistake and allows him to easily continue listening. Helping a man to listen. Once after listening to Bonnie about 10 minutes, I began to look pretty beat up. When I first came home, I felt wonderful, but after hearing her complain about her life for 10 minutes, I feel like a complete failure. I also felt bummed out because I thought she was really unhappy and that there was little I could do to change it. She eventually noticed how down I appeared and told me, "You look the way I feel." This was a revelation for me because I had no idea that she was feeling better. "You mean you felt this way but you don't anymore?" I asked. She said, "Yes, I feel much better now. I'm sorry you had to get bummed out, but I do feel much better." I too suddenly feel much better, I told her. "Well, if you feel better, then I guess I do too." I thought we were destined to have a really awful evening. I think that on the emotional level, I was feeling we were destined to have an awful life. Bonnie Bonnie's giving me a little positive feedback about how helpful my listening had been completely changed my mood. Consequently, the next time we talked, it was dramatically easier for me to listen without feeling defeated. Each time we talked and I experienced that she was happier as a result, it became easier the next time. Helping her to post with reality check. I remember another time when Bonnie seemed really upset with me and said things like, I feel like you never spend time with me anymore. Your work is more important than me. We used to be so much happier. I feel like things are just getting worse. Tama. These were hard words to hear, but I just keep ducking and dodging. I remembered that she was not talking about me, but was just exploring what was really upsetting her. At a certain point, in order to avoid feeling hit and getting even more upset, I helped her to pause by making a reality check. I said, it's starting to sound like I do nothing right. Is there anything that has gotten better? Do I do anything right? In that moment, she said, oh, yes, in the past, I would never have been able to talk like this. I feel so much safer with you. I just need to get this out, and then I will feel so much better. I know this is hard for you, and I really appreciate it. I said, okay, tell me more. All I needed was to be reminded that her feelings were not directed at me as criticism. One time, she paused in the middle of feeling conversation and said, I know this feeling sounds really unfair. I just need to express them and then I can easily let go of them. Okay? Instantly, I was able to relax and listen without feeling defensive. I said, thanks. Sounds good to me. It made a world difference because she took a moment to pause and prepare me to listen. Women in general are very unaware of how a few simple words can make a huge difference for men. It sounds worse than it is. Another time in the middle of difficult conversation, she said, I know this must I know this much be hard for you. I just need to talk about it. It sounds a lot worse than it is. It really isn't a big deal to me. I just want you to know what goes on inside me. Those words, it sounds a lot worse than it is, or it really isn't a big deal. We're like honey to a bee. Although a man should never say to a woman, it's not such a big deal. If a woman feels safe to share her feelings, and if she feels that he makes her feelings a big deal, then she comfortably say, it's not such a big deal. For many women, the saying of it's not such a big deal would be counterproductive, particularly up, if while growing up, they repeatedly got the message that their feelings were not a big deal. However, as an adult, when she experiences her feeling being respected and considered, then it becomes easier to make the kind of comments that assist a man in listening. As a woman begins to understand men, she realized that a man will make her feelings much more important if she doesn't demand it. By preparing a man by saying, it's not really a big deal, I just want you to consider how I feel, he will listen much more attentively than before. At other times, when a woman wants to initiate conversation, a good technique to use to prepare the man to listen is to say, I have a lot of feelings coming up and I would like to talk about them. I just want you to know in advance that it sounds worse than it is. I just need to talk for a while and feel that you care. You don't have to say anything or do anything differently. This kind of approach will actually motivate him to think about how he might make changes to support you more. What to say when he resists listening? When a woman senses in advance that a man is going to resist what she is about to say, there are new ways to prepare him so that he can more easily duck and dodge. One woman told me that she just says to her husband, thanks for helping me here. I really appreciate your trying to duck and dodge what I'm saying. I know it must be hard to hear. This is a great advanced relationship skills technique because many times, when someone is acknowledged for doing something difficult, he is happy to accept the job. A woman commonly takes for granted that a man should listen if he loves her. She doesn't instinctively understand how difficult it is for him to hear negative feedbacks from the person he cares most about. The expectation that he should easily hear and understand her because he loves her actually makes it harder for him to listen. When, however, she begins to acknowledge the difficulty, he is much more willing to do what it takes to listen. At work, a man is happy to do a difficult job if he is paid accordingly. If, however, he is asked to take on a more difficult task and is not acknowledged or compensated for it, he begins to feel taken for granted and as a result resists doing more. Likewise, in a relationship, if a man is required to do something difficult, he wants his effort to be appreciated. Otherwise, he may feel, why bother? Let's look at a common example. Pearl and Marty. Frustrated that her husband Marty commonly missed exit, Pearl felt justified in giving him unsolicited advice on how to drive. She had little idea of why this so totally turned him off. She could see his resistance, but she thought it was stupid and childish. So she continued giving driving instruction and he continued hating it.
Ayo.
Someone, unsa man?
Ay.
Ha?
Amoy lo ti.
TM na.
Di. Ano to?
Nagtaligsik ba?
Ha?
Nagkataligsik? Wala.
Ha?
Nagataligsik? Wala.
Wala man.
Wala. Hangin na no.
Welcome lang.
TM09.
09. Ito na. Ito man ako. 0975
Ah,
391
ah,
29
ah.
97.
0975-391-2997.
Oh,
Bali,
this lang pwede.
10.
Ano sigarilyo?
Wala. Wala.
Salamat ma'am.
Thank you. She could see her resistance, but she thought it was stupid and childish. So she continued giving driving instructions and he continued hating it. After taking one of my seminars, Pearl realized her mistakes. I understand now that I should just let him drive and learn from his own mistakes, she shared. I didn't realize before that this is a way I could give him the love he needs. But what about me? What if we are going to my daughter's wedding? What if we are going to my daughter's wedding and we are late because he takes the wrong turn? Can't I ever tell him how to drive? The answer to her question is yes. Pearl can give him advice, but extremely sparingly and only in situations that measures a 10 on a scale of 1 to 10 in importance. If she has not been doing it all the time, Marty should be able to take it without getting annoyed. One way to prepare a man to hear advice at those really important times when you have to give it is to react in a very accepting way at those times when he makes little mistakes. For example, if your partner misses exit, don't give him driving instruction. Use the incident as an opportunity to prepare him for more important feedback at another time. Try saying nothing and act as if it is perfectly normal for an extremely brilliant and competent man to be so focused on thinking about something that he forgets to exist. He will not only be very grateful, but he will be more open to your suggestions in the future. In any situation, if a woman can be accepting of a man's little mistakes, when the big ones come along, he will be much more willing to hear what she has to say. Getting to the church on time. In response to Pearl's question, I explained that if she was worried on the way to the wedding, the best thing was to warn him in advance in a way that respects his sensitivities. She could say, I know you hate it when I give you a direction in the car, so I try not to do it. But today, would you mind if I help navigate? I am so nervous about everything. It would make me feel much better. When he says yes, she should thank him as if he is doing her a favor. Not only has he be willing to listen, but this kind of support prepares him to more easily hear his comments or advice in the future. It is as though she is saying, I respect your need to do things on your own, and I don't have the right to invade your sensitivities. I do not expect more from you than you can offer. I appreciate your flexibility in supporting me today. This kind of consideration gradually opens a man up to hearing a woman's concern and advice in the future about other things as well. The bottom line is that the more a man feels appreciated and trusted as competent and capable, the more he can openly hear her requests for more. In my relationship, when we are late or if I am not clear about the direction, I will take it upon myself to set up the situation. I know it will be hard for Bonnie to refrain from giving directions, and the truth is that I could use her help. At those particular times, I will say, it's okay today if you want to help navigate, I would appreciate the help. Many times a woman senses that a man doesn't want to hear her, but because she can't come up with a better way to say it, she missays it. To overcome his wall of resistance, she applies more force and generally builds up her own sense of entitlement by remembering all the other times that he didn't listen. She forges ahead regardless of his resistance. It is as if she has to say to herself, I don't care if he doesn't want to listen. I have to tell him. This kind of aggressive assertiveness does not build bridges but usually turns him off and ensures his greater resistance in the future. When a woman doesn't know how to say what she wants to say in a way that would be easy for a man to hear, the most effective technique is to let him know just that. He will appreciate her concern and try to help her. By having his support enlisted in this way, he will be much more accepting of any mistakes she makes and much more understanding of what she is really trying to say. The most difficult female attitude for a man to cope with is the expectation that he should listen without getting bent out of shape by what he hears. If she senses that it will be hard for him to hear, she can start by immediately letting him know it. She could say, there is something I'd like to talk about, but I'm still in the process of working it out. I certainly don't want it to sound like criticism or blame, but I would also feel really supported if you knew what I was feeling. Would you take a few minutes to listen? By letting him know what he's in for in advance, she sees in effect that she knows it will be hard to her and she doesn't mean it to be that way. Just this consideration makes it so much easier for him to hear her and try to explore what she is saying in female rather than reacting to how sounds in male. You don't have to change your mind. I remember once my stepdaughter Julie skillfully using a new communication technique when she was 16 years old. I was very impressed. Bonnie and I had decided to take a 3-day vacation while some work was being done on our house. For various reasons, Julie didn't want to go, but she also didn't want to stay in the middle of remodeling. She said to me, I have a lot of stay home feelings about this and would like you just to listen. You don't have to change your mind. I just want you to consider my point of view. She then proceeded to tell me that she didn't like remodeling and wished we could do it in the future at a time when she could also be away from the house. As she shared her feelings, she became more emotional about it and then felt much better. I remember how much easier it was to hear her feelings because she had simply prepared me with a statement. You don't have to change your mind. That one praise set me free to listen. The result of that conversation was that in the future, I was much more sensitive to her request and made sure that we never left her at home with the remodeling again. It also made me more considerate in general. This is the amazing thing about men. If they are approached in the wrong way, they get defensive and push away a woman's feelings and needs. Yet, in a positive sense, when a man is prepared in a way that helps him to be supportive, he is then much more considerate in general about everything. It's not your fault. The more a woman practices preparing a man, the less she will need to prepare him in the future. Each successful interaction assists a man in ducking dodging more effectively the next time. As with the acquisition of any new skill, it is wise to begin with easy problems and then graduate to difficult ones. A woman's startup assistance makes it easier for a man. Just a man need assistance in learning to duck and dodge, so women sometimes forget to pause and prepare. At such times, a woman must remember that it is never too late to correct things. If she notices that her man is having a hard time, or is getting frustrated or angry, she can apply some posing and preparing techniques. She could say, "It makes sense to me that you feel." These words are validating to him and will help him cool off. Another major reason men get upset when listening is that they feel blame. To help him dodge, just a few words can make a world of difference. I remember many conversations with Bonnie when she just said a few words and it allowed me to relax and listen instead of depend and fight. Right in the middle of conversation, when she sensed that I was getting bruised by her words, she paused and said, "I know this is probably sounding like blame. I don't want to blame you. You don't deserve that. I just need to talk about these feelings. I know there is another side to this. Let me first work through my feelings and then I will be able to appreciate your side of it." After a few minutes, she started saying things like, "I can see that you really didn't mean. I just misunderstood because I thought I really appreciate you're not getting too upset about this." When she finished, I really didn't need to say much in my own defense. I just said, "Well, I understand why you were upset, and I'm glad we had this conversation." Even though at a gut level, I hated having to listen to what sounded like blame. From a heart and head level of my being, I knew that conversations like this were an important part of keeping the passion alive in a relationship. You don't have to say anything. Probably the most potent and powerful praise a woman can say to prepare a man to listen is, "You don't have to say anything." This message is important because it lets a man off the hook of needing to defend himself. In addition, it gently reminds him that he doesn't have to solve her problems. A woman will generally not think of this because with other women it would be rude to say, "You don't have to say anything." When a woman talks in female tradition,
Right, okay.
ay,
No. Hindi ka kasi.
basa.
Pero hindi ko buhatan og nani ba?
Ha?
Di nani nga kape-kape.
Unsa man?
Ako nagbuhat ba?
Sino buhat?
Kung may nani ba design ba? Kape.
Eh? Buhat ka? Kasi pambuhatan nimo.
Ano ito na kuan? Hindi ko alam mo ito ko.
Hmm. Ano siya pangalan?
Alam mo na ba? Basta green coffee din sa.
Ah, pangpapayat. Hmm. Probably the most potent and powerful praise a woman can say to prepare a man is to prepare a man to listen is, "You don't have to say anything." This message is important because it lets a man off the hook of needing to defend himself. In addition, it gently reminds him that he doesn't have to solve her problems. A woman will generally not think of this because with other women it would be rude to say, "You don't have to say anything." When one woman talks in female tradition commands that it will next be the other person's turn to talk. The unspoken agreement is that if I listen to you, talk for 5 minutes. You must listen to me for 5 minutes. With a man, it is different. If she says, you don't have to say anything, it is not rude. Quite the contrary. He will be relieved. It is an easy job description. You're not listening. Another common expression women use that is complete turn off for men is you're not listening. When a woman uses this phrase, it frustrates a man because he usually is listening in some way or at least trying to. Even if he wasn't, it is hard for him to hear it because in childhood it was used repeatedly by his mother when she was upset with him. Hearing it in an adulthood, a man feels as if his mate is talking down to him and treating him like a child. He hears it as not only degrading but very controlling. Just as a woman doesn't want to mother a man does not want to be mothered. He feels she is blaming him when she is really just trying to be heard. When a woman says you're not listening, it is generally because a man is not giving her his full attention. He is hearing her with only part of his mind when she wants his full attention. To say you're not listening doesn't convey the correct message, which is you are not giving me your full attention. To a man, there is a world of difference between these two statements. He can't argue with the second message, but the first only pushes him farther away. When a man is half listening, distracted, or looking away while she is talking, women quite commonly communicate the message that he is not listening by raising their voices. Getting louder for a woman is another way of saying you're not listening. The result, however, is the same. In the end, he will listen less. Yelling at children also programs them not to listen. Negative critical feedback just doesn't work. For most women, the only other option is to get upset and walk away. Although her option seems bleak, there is hope. By learning to pause and prepare a man, a woman can immediately begin getting the result she wants. Let's look at an example. The 30-second attention span. Many times when a woman talks about her day, a man will focus on her for a moment, realize that she is going to talk for a while, and then pick up a magazine and begin reading it until she gets to the point. If he is watching TV, he will listen for a few moments and then shift back to watching TV. At the most, he will listen for about 30 seconds and then when he experiences that she is not talking in linear fashion, he automatically finds another focus for his masculine side. The news is great for focusing, since in the first paragraph of each article, he gets the bottom line of who, what, where, when, how, and why. In my seminars, I commonly ask how many women have experienced a man picking up a magazine to read soon after she begins to talk. Almost all the hands go up. I do this so that the women in the room can see that it is not just their husband who doesn't listen. Martha was one of those women. Her husband didn't take the course, but by learning at the seminar how to prepare a man to listen, she experienced an immediate and dramatic change. She was able to break through the 30-second attention span and began getting his full attention. Martha and Robert have been married for 9 years. Quite commonly, when she talked, he would briefly focus on her and then continue watching TV. Her reaction was to keep talking and then after a while get furious with him and complain that he didn't listen to her. Although this approach is certainly instinctive on her part, it doesn't work. For years, this pattern repeated itself. Even though Martha complained, Robert would still watch TV while she talked. If the TV wasn't on, he would pick up a magazine and read it while she was talking. Like many thousands of women, Martha was definitely not getting the support she most needed. Robert didn't give her his full attention because he didn't feel the same need to talk about this day with someone giving him their full attention. It is not that he wasn't interested in her, it was that he wasn't interested in the details of her day. To him, the details were unimportant unless they were directly related to some point. Men are used to organizing details in a logical manner to make a point or to figure out solution. When a woman talks just to relax and connect with her partner, she commonly uses details that are not necessarily related to any point or solution. She's talking to share an experience, not fix it. When he recognized that she wasn't going to get to a point, he will then look back to the TV or pick up a magazine to find a point to focus on. A man needs to have a goal or a focal point. At those times when a woman is sharing feelings, a man's mind begins to tense up while trying to find the point. When he realizes that it's going to be a while before she gets to her point, he relaxes his mind by focusing on a newspaper, magazine, on TV. He is generally not trying to be rude. Many times he doesn't even know that he is doing it. He thinks he is listening. When a woman talks and a man looks away, he still believes he is listening. There is still a part of his mind following her words for when she gets to the point and his response is called for. In a sense, he is waiting for his turn to do something. A small part of him is paying attention, scanning what she is saying for any problems that may require his full attention to solve. When she says he's not listening, it doesn't make sense to him because he knows that it's not completely true. As long as she complains that he is not listening, he will never hear her actual message. Why she is really saying is, when you watch TV, I don't feel that I have your full attention. If you give it to me and turn off the TV, it will help me get this out much faster and it will feel very good. This is a message that a man can hear and understand. It also gives him a focus or reason to listen. Men don't realize how important and soothing their attention is to a woman. When a woman doesn't understand the way a man thinks and talks, she mistakenly assumes that he doesn't care about her. Martha was ready to end her marriage because she had become convinced that TV was more important to Robert than she was. When he picked up a magazine as she talked, she thought he hated her. Quite commonly, they would argue about whether he was really listening or not. She said, "You're not listening." He said, "I am listening." She said, "You can't listen and watch the TV at the same time." He said, "How do you know what I can do?" She said, "Well, I know I can talk to you." He said, "Look, I'm watching TV now and I'm hearing everything you are saying. I can repeat back everything you have said." She said, "I know it. I can't talk with you." Various versions of the same argument went on for years until Martha tried a different approach. The next time Robert picked up a magazine instead of complaining or storming off in frustration, Martha practiced a new skill. She paused from talking and looked with him at his magazine. After 30 seconds, he noticed that she had stopped talking. By pausing, she got his attention, and he remembered that she was talking. Then she said, "Thanks, I really appreciate it when you give me your full attention. This will only take about 3 more minutes. Is that okay for you?" After talking for about 3 minutes, she then thanked him for giving her his full attention. Instead of fighting about who was wrong, Martha got what she wanted. Robert started giving her his full attention when she spoke. Whenever he'd forget, she knew just what to do to get it back. By gradually experiencing how much Martha appreciated and thrived on his full attention, Robert was instinctively motivated to give her his full attention when she talked. When a woman wants a man to listen, it is important to make sure that he feels there will be closure. He needs to know what is required of him, how long it will take, and what will he get in return. In this case, Martha let him know in positive and clear terms that she needed his full attention, not just for him to listen. She let him know it would only take 3 minutes, and when she was done, she let him know how much she appreciated it. 3 minutes is a good starting out time for a man to practice building up his emotional support muscle. As he can do that, can begin to go on for longer and longer periods of time. Gradually, Martha would increase the time of her sharing. When she noticed him starting to get frustrated, she would again pause and prepare him to listen by saying, "It will only be another 3 minutes and I'll be done." This kind of support for him ensured that he gradually learned how to support her. If she had more to say, then she used another new skill. She postponed sharing her feelings for another time. A woman's lifeline. Good communication is a modern woman's lifeline. Without it, she loses touch with her ability to feel the love in her heart and receive the loving support of others. She loses her ability to feel warm, tender, and sweet feelings. By learning to support a man in a particular way, she can ensure getting back to the support she needs to nurture her female side. To achieve this end, it is important for her to realize that men have never been required to be good listeners of a woman's feeling and that they don't know how. By clearly understanding these facts, it gives her the patience and the awareness to appreciate each step he makes toward her fulfillment. Women generally feel that if a man loves them, he will want to listen to their feelings. A man doesn't feel this way because sharing feelings is not as important to him, and traditionally, women didn't want to share their feelings with men. When a man loves a woman, it doesn't mean that he will be motivated to initiate conversation, nor will it be easier for him to listen. It actually works on the other way around. The more a man cares, if he hasn't learned how to duck and dodge, it hurts more when he gets it. When she is unhappy, it is much harder for him to listen without feeling blame. It is harder because the more he loves her, the more he feels like a failure when she is not feeling loved and supported. By understanding that a man really needs her support to support her successfully, a woman can then be motivated to help him without feeling as if she is begging for love. This insight that a man could deeply care but also resist her when she starts sharing feelings helps her to take responsibility for communicating in ways that are supported for her and also for him. The importance of timing. I've already mentioned how vital timing is to good communication. When a man is recuperating from the demands of his workday, it is counterproductive to make more demands on him until he becomes proficient in the art of listening, trying to converse when he first comes home feels to him like more work, which he will tend to resist. Even if he is eager, his mind will wander something less demanding like the TV or a magazine. To fight this innate tendency is useless, but by working with it, a woman can get what she needs. In my book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, I explored in great detail this tendency men have to temporarily pull away from a relationship to recharge and describe it as a cave time. I first heard this concept from a Native American woman who said that in her tribe, when a woman was married, the mother gave her this wise warning. When a man loves you at times, he will pull away and go to his cave. A woman should never try to follow him or else she will be born by the dragon. After some time, he will be back and everything will be fine. Cave time for a man is solidarity time when he can most effectively recuperate from the day, forget his problem by staring off into the fire, and gradually connect with his loving feelings and remember what is important to him. Once he feels better, he automatically comes out of the cave and is available for a relationship. To ensure mutually supportive conversations, a woman needs to postpone her immediate needs to share her feelings until her male partner is out of the cave. It is disastrous to initiate a conversation before a man is actually capable of listening and sharing. Through posing in this way and waiting for the right time to share her feelings, a woman can get the support she most needs. One woman in my seminar shared that she was a cave buster. She would use dynamite to get in his cave, only to find that her husband will dig deeper and deeper tunnels, without an understanding that her husband needed solitary time, trying to get closely, only push him apart farther away. Makatawag kag PM. Oo nga na. Katawag ako di. Ay, hindi. Because- Kasum ka? Eh, di hilang ka. Sa TNT. To ensure When a man can when a man can take the time he needs for himself, it is extremely difficult for him to find the loving feelings that originally attracted him to his partner. In a similar way, when a woman doesn't get the chance to share her feelings and connect with her female side, she as well loses touch with her deep loving feelings. Understanding the cave. Most women do not understand the cave, nor do they recognize when a man is out. A woman is extremely frustrated because she feels the need to talk, but doesn't know how long it will take before he comes out. She wants him to come out, but she doesn't know what she can do to help. This uncertainty makes her need to talk even more urgent. Men in relationships experience a similar frustration when a woman talks about problems. A man doesn't know how long she will talk before she feels better. She is afraid she will never be happy. It is hard for a man to figure out when she wants his advice or when she just wants to talk. In a similar way, it is hard for a woman to understand if he is watching TV because there is nothing else to do, or if he is in his cave and is not open to having a conversation. To solve these common problems, we not only need to understand our differences, but must learn new skill for getting what we need. The need for clear signals. A woman needs clear communication signal to know when a man is open and when he is closed in the same way that a man needs to know when she is open to solution and when she just needs to be heard. Just as it is hard for a man to trust that a woman will feel better again after sharing negative feelings, it is equally difficult for a woman to trust that a man loves her when he pulls away and ignores her. To pause before talking or making requests of a man, a woman needs to first know if he is in the cave. If he is not available, she needs to postpone getting her needs met by him. If she can support him in this way, not only will he spend less time in the cave, he will be much more loving when he is out of the cave. True persisting in this process of not trying to change him, but instead trying to assist him in being successful in supporting her. A woman can dramatically improve her relationship. When a man is in his cave, it is the time for a woman to be less demanding of him. This non demanding and trusting attitude is very attractive to a man and will definitely shorten cave time. When is a man out of his cave? Even when a woman begins to understand a man's need to be in the cave, it is still difficult to tell him it is still difficult to tell when he is out. Women persist persistently asked me, how do I know when it is a good time to talk? How do I know when he is in the cave? My favorite example to answer this question has to do with my daughter Lauren. One evening when she was 7 years old, she had attended one of my lectures on the differences between men and women. Although much of the time she was playing in the back, she had actually taken in a lot. In that lecture, I talk about not going into a man's cave. I haven't thought Lauren was listening, but on the way home, she said, Daddy, you said if you go into a man's cave, you get burned by the dragon. Is that why sometimes you get angry at me? Is that just your dragon? Do you still love me? I said, That's right. Sometimes I am in my cave and just need to be alone for a while. And then I come out again. Even if sometimes I feel frustrated or angry with you, I still love you very much. She said, Thank you, Daddy. I'm sure glad I know about the cave. The next day she came up to me while I was reading the newspaper and said, Daddy, are you in your cave? I don't want to bother you if you are, cause I don't want to be born by the dragon. I told her that I was in the cave, but soon I will be out. She then said, Would you let me know when you are out because I want to tell you about my day? When I finished reading the paper, I then easily remembered to find my daughter and ask her about her day. Sometimes the answer to the most complex problem can be right before our eyes. Volumes of books have been written trying to answer the question of how to get a man to open up, and yet, given the right understanding, a little child could find the answer. The way to tell if a man is in escape is simply to ask, Although it sounds simple, it does take a lot of practice not to feel rejected if he doesn't want to talk. It is hard for a woman to ask because instinctively it is a shock to her when a man doesn't want to talk. The way to tell if a man is in his cave is simply to ask. This is because when she loves a man and feels safe to share her feelings, then after a long day, she looks forward to sharing and talking with him. When she wants to talk and he doesn't, it is embarrassing. It feels as though she loves him more than he loves her. Te, nakatawag na ka?
I-text na lang ako.
Hmm?
I-text na lang ako.
Ano man?
Ako, kuan, akong account, kaya na ako lang. Samot-samot.
Ha?
Wala akong, i-text na lang akong pag-iya sa number ko.
Mo sila nagsamog-samog, gikuha na po ang imuhang Facebook?
Oo. Wala ko na, kuan, na session lagi expired niya. Temporary block.
Hello?
Kinsa na hindi ko nilabot sa mga account.
Ngayon dali man kayo mahak.
Sakit.
Initiating sex versus initiating conversation. A way for a man to understand a woman's sensitivity to this issue is to compare it to a man's sensitivity on the issue of sex. If he is turned onto her and she is not even interested in having sex, it can be very embarrassing to him. When a man deeply loves a woman, one of the most potent ways he can feel her love is during sex. During arousal, he is more sensitive to receiving and giving love. To be rejected when he is aroused is generally the most difficult challenge for him to handle in a relationship. Every man who has passionately loved a woman knows how painful it is to love her and want to make love to her and then feel rejected sexually. If he then continues to initiate sex and his partner is repeatedly not in the mood, he then automatically stops feeling his desire for sex with her. Why men lose interest in sex? He may not even know why he is not so interested in sex anymore. The thought of sex may just make him tired. This fatigue sets in because he is suppressing his sexual drive. It takes up a lot of energy to suppress one's sexual feelings. When a man is repeatedly rejected, it happens automatically. In a similar way, when a woman feels rejected because a man doesn't want to talk, she loses touch with the tender part of her femininity that wants to talk and share. The opportunity to talk may sometimes just make her feel more exhausted or more overwhelmed. The energy it takes to suppress her female side wears her out. With this understanding, a man is much more motivated to make it safe for her to talk. Without this awareness, a man can't be sensitive to the ways in which he may be hurting her. Although a woman needs to be understand and accept a man's need for the king, he can, however, be sensitive to her feelings about it. By making it clear to her when he is in and when he is out, it makes it much easier for her to handle. In a similar way, to keep the passion alive in her man, a woman needs to give him clear signal about when she is in the mood for sex and when she is not. Signals that he is out of the cave. The way a man can help a woman know when he is out of the cave is to give her clear signal in language that she will understand. Touching a woman in a non-sexual but an affectionate way is probably the most effective and simple way. When I am out of the cave and available for conversation, I search out my wife and touch her in some affectionate way or offer to give her a hug. This clear signal tells her that I am approachable. The certainty regarding when I am available and when I am not makes a world of difference for her. She does not have to worry or try to figure out my moods. When a man is out of the cave, it is even more helpful for her to recognize it if he initiates a conversation. This does not mean that he has to talk much. It means that he briefly communicates the message that he is out and is open to hearing her. This is best done by simply asking her a question about her day. Initiating a conversation is particularly helpful because women today are many times so much in their male sides that they don't even know they need to talk until they are asked. Particularly if she has been burned in the past while sharing her feelings, she will not consciously feel the need to talk. With a clear signal from her mate initiating the conversation, she does not have to fear his lack of interest in what she has to share, posing to postpone sharing feelings. A woman had to work hard at not reacting in a way that says to a man that he is a bad boy and that he is not making mommy happy. To support him, she is required to nurture him with an accepting love and not to be a mother trying to teach him how to be a good. Even if these messages are her true feelings, when he is on his way to the cave, it is not the time to share those feelings. To accomplish this feat, she needs to practice postponing her feelings until she has a more receptive listener. These kinds of feelings are a negative influence on him and are best shared with a woman friend. Though putting off giving in a negative message, she ensures that he will come back sooner. It is much easier for her to give him this support when she clearly knows when he is in the cave and that he will come out of his own accord. If I am in a bad mood and needing cave time, quite commonly I will go for a drive. All I need to say is, I need to go for a drive, and my wife understands that I am in my cave. My car is actually black with a black interior. To me, it feels like a moving cave. If I am watching TV and I am in my cave, I will scan the channels with my remote control at the commercial breaks. If I am in open and receptive to her, then at the commercial, I put the TV on mute and talk with her. Generally speaking, when a man does something that a woman thinks is a waste of time or is unproductive, he is in his cave. It could be fiddling with his computer or fiddling with an old car in the garage. For some men, their cave is the workshop in the garage, a walk over the hill, a jog around the neighborhood, a workout at the gym, or going to a movie. How to ask a man to talk. Unless a man understands the importance of making clear signals that he is in the cave, a woman must depend on herself to figure it out. Even if a man knows the importance of giving signals, he will inevitably forget at times to use them. This being the case, it is essential for women to be skilled in checking out when he is in the cave and when he is not. Just as a man can test to see how upset a woman is by gently touching her and asking her if she needs to talk, a woman can test a man by asking him a few simple questions. When a woman wants to talk, instead of assuming that a man is immediately available, she needs to first pause and then approach him to see if it is the right time for him. She can check it out in variety of ways. By asking a man question about his day, she can quickly tell if he is in the mood to talk. If she says, "How was your day?" When he gives a short answer like "okay" or "fine," it's a clear signal that he is in his cave or he is open he is open to having conversation but would prefer that she talk more. She can then say, "Is this a good time to talk or would you like to do it later?" If he is not deep in his cave, he will generally say, "This is a good time." Although he may still feel some resistance, it is not because he is in his cave or because he doesn't care, but because he doesn't have much to say. Don't be disappointed if he doesn't say, "Oh, thanks for asking. I would love to talk." If he is resistant but clearly says not right now, then she can say, "Okay, I'll check back later. How about 20 minutes?" Generally speaking, that should be enough time. If he needs more time, it is important to be prepared to accept what he needs. The more gracious and non demanding she is, the more he will think about taking the time to talk. This situation is similar to when a man reaches out and gently touches his wife. He cannot expect that she should always receive his touch with a warm, loving response. If she pulls back and he doesn't react with anger but dodges and remains open to her, then she is much more willing to open up to him. In a like manner, the more space or acceptance a woman can give a man while letting him know that she is looking forward to talking, the more open and willing he will be to make the time to talk. The unspoken rules for communicating. If a woman wants to talk with someone, she generally waits for her turn. It is her way of being polite. She either listens for a while and then begin to talk, or waits until the other person asks her about her day. These unspoken rules are foreign to most men. If a woman waits for her mate to talk first, she may never get the chance to talk because he doesn't automatically have a lot to say. A man's unspoken rules are that if you have something to say, say it. He doesn't feel the need to wait to be asked. If he wants to talk, he talks. When he asks questions, he rarely has the expectation that she is supposed to ask question back. When a woman asks him question and he does talk, he thinks he is pleasing her by answering her question. Men don't have a clue that after talking for a while, they are supposed to take turns and ask women questions. Even if a man has learned that a woman wants him to talk her questions about her day, he will tend to forget. When she is asking him questions, he is so busy thinking of what to say that it is hard for him to remember to ask her about her day. If a man gives short answers, a woman does not need to wait until he has had his turn. He doesn't mind if she begins talking about her day. It will not be rude to him if she began talking about her own day without first listening to him. Hello. Men who talk too much. A single woman at one of my relationship seminars. Thank you for watching. Men who talk too much. A single woman at one of my relationship seminars asked this question. She said, "You say men don't want to talk. My experience is with men who talk too much and don't listen to what I have to say. How do I get them to listen?" I asked her if she herself was a good listener. She very proudly said yes. I then asked if she asked lots of questions. She again proudly said yes. She then said, "I do all the right things, but they still don't listen to me." I said, "You are doing all the right things to get a woman to listen, but not a man. If you want a man to stop talking and listen more, then you have to stop asking him questions. The more a man has to think about answering questions, the less he will think." Mo, detect na siya, te. Kuan na lang siya, i-mute. She then said, "I do all the right things, but they still don't listen to me." I said, "You are doing all the right things to get a woman to listen, but not a man. If you want a man to stop talking and listen more, then you have to stop asking him questions. The more a man has to think about answering questions, the less he will think about her or pause to let her talk. To get a man's full attention, this woman first needed to stop asking more questions. Then, when he paused, she should say something like this: "That makes sense to me because." With this kind of lead in praise, a woman can get any man's attention. Men love to be acknowledged for making sense. These three simple words, "that makes sense," are so soothing to a man that he will immediately stop talking and listen to what she has to say. The most effective way to get a man's full attention is to prepare him for the conversation by letting him off the hook of needing to talk more, by letting him to know in advance that he doesn't have to talk. He can relax and listen instead of figuring out what to say. After all, she is the one who wants to talk. This is a very important awareness. A man can be out of the cave and be open to conversation but not have anything to say. Instinctively, he doesn't feel the need to initiate conversation. When a woman senses that he doesn't have anything to say, she feels awkward talking more or asking him to listen, as I have suggested. It feels rude to her to say something like, well, even if you don't feel like talking, I have a lot to say. Would you listen to me? You don't have to say anything. She doesn't know that to him. This is not rudeness, it is directness, and it's not demanding. Men love this kind of support. Yes. Oh, asa? Lintos? Bila. The most effective way to get a man's full attention is to prepare him for the conversation by letting him off the hook of needing to talk more. By letting him know in advance that he doesn't have to talk, he can relax and listen instead of figuring out what to say. After all, she is the one who wants to talk. This is a very important awareness. A man can be out of the cave and be open to conversation but not have anything to say. Instinctively, he doesn't feel the need to initiate conversation. When a woman senses that he doesn't have anything to say, she feels awkward talking more, asking him to listen as I have suggested. It feels rude to her to say something like, well, even if you don't feel like talking, I have a lot to say. Would you listen to me? You don't have to say nothing. She doesn't know that to him this is not rudeness, it is directness, and it's not demanding. Men love this kind of support. By being prepared in this way, a man doesn't need to resist the listening process because it is clearly stated that he doesn't have to say anything. Why women don't initiate conversations? There are actually many times when a man is out of the cabin available to have a conversation but is waiting for a woman to initiate the conversation. She may not know this because at other times when he was in the cave, she tried conversation only to find that getting him to talk was like pulling teeth. After a few futile stabs of conversation, many women give up without even knowing it. They actually believe that they have nothing to say and don't want to talk. When they get home, they go to their caves as well. These women do not realize that they are missing out on the thing that can bring them the greatest happiness. Life has taught them that it is foolish to try and share feelings with a man, but with new relationship skills and a new job description, they can get the support and respect that they require in order to risk sharing their feminine feelings. Still, other women know that they are missing out but blame the men for not wanting to talk. Their mothers did not teach them about the cave. The worst thing about a woman can do is to blame a man for not wanting to talk. It would be like a man blaming a woman for talking too much. Neither approach is valid or productive. A woman needs to understand her needs and persist in creating opportunities to get the attention and understanding she needs from her partner. New communication skills. To ensure the best communication in a relationship, both men and women can begin applying new skills. An easy way for women to remember what is required of them is to remember the four P's: posing, preparing, postponing, and persisting. In a similar way, men can remember the four D's: ducking, dodging, disarming, and delivering. A relationships A relationship will be easiest when both are doing their best. Without their insight, relationships are much more difficult than they need to be. Even when a woman's husband or boyfriend has not read this book, by applying these skills, she will begin to get so much more. She will learn to talk in ways that are natural for her, but that will also motivate him to listen and support more. This summary of the four P's can be helpful for a woman to remember what the basics are for getting the support she needs. Pause. Check it out. Ask him if this is a good time. B. Don't interrupt him if you know he is in the cave. Prepare. Set a time limit. Tell him how long it will take. When a man doesn't know where the conversation is going, he begins to panic. When he knows there is a time limit, then he can relax. B. Give him a clear job description. Tell him that he doesn't have to say anything or make other supported comments. C. Encourage him. Occasionally remind him that he is not being blamed or that you understand it is hard to listen. D. Appreciate him each time when you are finished talking. Let him know that you really appreciate his listening and that you feel much better because of his support. Postpone. When he is in his cave, postpone sharing your needs for another time, when he is more available and able to give. Put off expecting him to do more until he has become proficient in listening more to feelings. Then begin to ask for more physical help in small increment. See, when you are feeling blame or criticism, talk to someone else first to become more loving and centered and then talk to your partner. 4. Persist. Continue giving him the support he needs to support you. Don't expect him to always remember. B. When he resists conversation, persist in asking him to listen, even if he has little or nothing to say. C. Overcome the tendency to give in and not to communicate with him. Patiently persist in practicing these skills. One of the biggest obstacles to practicing the four skills for women and the four skills for men is not understanding that men and women essentially speak different languages. A man could be growing in his skills slowly but surely, but when he is fails to listen or respect her feelings, she feels it is hopeless. In a similar way, a woman will be progressing in supporting her male partner, and then when she forgets to pause and prepare and he feels blame, he may automatically assume that nothing is working. Through understanding the different languages we speak, it is much easier to recognize that our partners do love us and that they, in their own way, are doing their best. Yes. Gana ko. And try ko din siyang gawin yung nakalagay dun sa, sa isang libro na magbasa na isang chapter ng Psalm and then isang chapter ng New Testament. Psalm. Psalm 11. Confidence in the presence of God. For the leader of David. I, in the Lord, I take refuge. How can you say to me, feel like a bird to the mountains? See how the wicked string their bows, fit their arrows to the string, to shoot from the shadows at the upright. When foundations are being destroyed, what can the upright do? The Lord is in his holy temple. The Lord's throne is in heaven. God's eyes keep careful watch. They test all peoples. The Lord tests the good and the bad, hates those who love violence, and rains upon the wicked fiery coals and brimstone. A scorching wind, their allotted cup. The Lord is just and loves just deep. The upright shall see in his face. Psalm chapter 11. And I choose the Revelation. Tapos na ako sa chapter 1 and chapter 2 and chapter 3. Dito na ako sa chapter 4. Revelation chapter 4. Vision of the heavenly worship. After this, I had a vision of an open door to heaven, and I heard the trumpet like voice that had spoken to me before, saying, come up here, and I will show you what must happen afterwards. At once I was caught up in a spirit. A throne was there in heaven, and on the throne sat one whose appearance sparkled like jasper and carnelian. Around the throne was a halo as brilliant as an emerald. Surrounding the throne, I saw 24 other thrones on which 24 elders sat, dressed in white garments and with gold crowns on their heads. From the throne came flashes of lightning, rumbling, and peals of thunder. 7 blaming torches burned in front of the throne, which are the 7 spirits of God. In front of the throne was something that resembles a sea of glass like crystal. In the center and around the throne there were 4 living creatures, covered with eyes in front and in back. The first creature resembled a lion, the second was like a cub. The third had a face like that of a human being, and the fourth looked like an eagle in flight. The 4 living creatures, each of them with 6 wings, were covered with the eyes inside and out. Day and night they do not stop exclaiming, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty, who was and who is to come. Whenever the living creatures give glory and honor and thanks to the one who sits the throne, who lives forever and ever, the 24 elders fall down before the one who sits on the throne and worship him who lives forever and ever. They threw down their crowns before the throne, exclaiming, "Hmm? Thank you." They threw down their crowns before the throne, exclaiming, Worthy are you, Lord our God, to receive glory and honor and power. For you created all things. Because of your will they came to be and were created. Thank you. Katapos din ako. Thank you sa visit, Owo. Check ko lang yung ano mo, channel mo. God bless. Bye-bye.